Welcome to Real Outdoors. Captain Adam here. We are in the Innuendo fish room today down in Grand Haven, Michigan, and we have some awesome captains to talk to. Our topic is your 5 best baits to catch big kings. But before we get to the captains, we got to talk about our sponsors. Big thanks to Goose Island, Lemon Shandy, and also Captain Chuck's too for making this possible. So let's meet those captains and get the show on the road.
Captain Phil Retherford, Catch a Bunch Charters, Grand Haven, Michigan.
Captain April Bosker, Seafleet Charters, Grand Haven, Michigan.
Captain Chris Bunda, On the Fly Charters, Grand Haven, Michigan.
Captain Jeremy Barber, Innuendo Charters, Grand Haven, Michigan.
Before we get to that topic, if you can hit that subscribe button, like and share this video, it'll help our channel grow. So let's get those captains in here and get this topic started.
All right.
That's what you got.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to some of our best baits for like more bigger mature kings. I kind of just grabbed a few of our go-tos. Again, kind of depends on water temps, time of year, everything. But I'd say the most popular one that we kind of use is the live wire. I tend to usually run a green pickle. I know a lot of people run the green crinkle as well. Has a little more UV into it. So I guess depending on the sunny, cloudy, if you need glow, if it's earlier in the morning. But really good bait. We tend to run it on like a 250 or 300 copper. We also run, which I tend to run more on our shoot. Also on my low divers, I will run the bigger paddles. We really like the Booster fly with usually the I know you can get the UV white beads, blue beads. I don't know if anyone else has a preference of what they usually run under their boosters. Also, again, I've got the white big one with a proctologist from Big Weenie with the green beads underneath it. Again, we tend to run it on our shoot rod down deeper. If you're running, I kind of brought different types of spoons from Dreamweaver. Also one from Moonshine. Again, we all know the bigger kings like the blues, the greens, and some of the yellows with the blues. Also, purples are really popular with the bigger mature kings. I tend to kind of pair, especially if you've got stackable baits, whether if you're freestyle or if you free slider or with the tubes and that. I tend to pair kind of similar baits but slightly different. I've got a modified blue dolphin here, also with a blue whale. Again, I kind of start with this, and if I notice that they're hitting one more than the other, I might throw a second one on top of it. Also, sometimes, though, you want to leave it because sometimes one might be attracting them, and they're just biting the other one. So I've got those two. I also have a Thriller and a Hello Darlin'. These ones really good on our coppers, too, even if you don't want to stack them or if you don't stack your baits. These two tend to do very good on their own as well. For Moonshine, a big go-to for us, too, is the JJ McMuffin. We run this on our divers and our coppers as well.
So who's up next?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
All right. So when I think about catching mature kings, I really think about, mid-July to, mid to late August. And obviously we catch some mature kings in the springtime too, but we really target, I think, the mature kings more exclusively in that mid to late summer. If you ask me if I had to pick one bait year over that I would say for mature kings, I would definitely say the big white paddle. And this has definitely been a Grand Haven staple as long as I've been in Grand Haven. So at least 15 years. And it's a pearl fish scale paddle. Is almost on every shoot downrigger or every deep downrigger in Grand Haven, at least the entire charter boat fleet for sure. I like to run mine with a poofster. I like pearl beaded poofster for mine. That's been my go-to for years. Sometimes I'll throw a pickle on there as well. I think a pearl fish scale and a pickle is also pretty solid. But that bait usually lives on the shoot rigger, and even to the day, I would say that I haven't caught as many fish on big paddles as I used to in the past, but it's still such a confidence bait that it's almost always going to start at least on the shoot or on our deep rigger. And sometimes we'll stretch the lead back if they're not biting it. Sometimes we shorten the lead up, or put it right on the bottom, run it right in the thermocline. But even early in the morning, even though there's no glow in that that's a really good bait, at least in this end of the lake. But I think that's been true, lake wide, wherever I've been able to catch fish on that. So this is kind of its smaller cousin, essentially. It's the 8-inch variety, white pearl fish scale paddle with a poofster fly and green beads. If they're really biting paddles, I'll throw this out on my deep coppers as well. So we basically bombed South Haven a couple of years ago on day 1, and day 2 we had the heaviest box of the tournament, and this was on all 9 rods, and they were just eating the bottom of the boat when it comes to this thing. So this thing has its day for sure, but it's a really good mature king bait to run out on your coppers, and it kind of mimics the big pearl fish scale paddle.
The one thing on the pearl fish scale, as you can see across the board, as far as the bigger paddles and that, the pearl fish scale with the poofster is pretty much like a staple, like Jeremy had said, like throughout the majority of the boats at some point, what bead combination, whether you use the whites, whether you use some blues, some glows in them. I think this one is the pearl fish scale, but it's got the blue edge, and I think Willis from Thunder Duck came up with that one for it, which is just a variation of the white with the pearl fish scale. But like he was saying with his small one, they had a 9 rods. Like it used to be when the fish are biting these, like it would be like if I was catching fish, nobody needed to call and ask what I was using. If they knew what I was catching fish, then that's what it was, because they didn't have a choice. Just like that, they either bit the pearl fish scale with a poofster, or I didn't get bit, because it was on every rod across the back of the boat.
Yeah,
every day.
And I don't think it's is that way as much anymore. The last couple of years, the big paddle bite has been a little slower, and I don't really know why. I mean,
when it slowed down for me in Grand Haven, I switched I ran that same bait for years, and then I switched to this 2-face. And it goes back to confidence. But we literally had a trip one day that it was just rough. We went out in the afternoon, raining, rough. I threw this down on my chute to kind of forget about it. I was going to try it out. We had 3 people on the boat. We got 15 kings in an hour and 15 minutes, and we caught every one of them on this fish. They were all cookie cutter, 10 to 12 pound kings, just this straight troll, turned around, came back in. And like from that day on, it's like, okay, we got to throw that down and try. And it's consistently caught our mature fish all the time. It outfishes that for me all the time. And I ran that booster forever. I mean, that was my go-to. And then I switched. And I think part of it's what you run, right? I mean, you get confidence in a bait and you run it, but we all have that one big paddle that we run in the chute.
Yeah, but I just haven't had a day in the last few years where I'm running, 3 big paddles on the riggers and 2 on the divers.
No, I agree.
No.
And I don't know if that's a water clarity thing. I'm not real sure what changed, but if you went back 5 years and looked at what the charter boats were catching, like Phil said, like I didn't even ask him what he was catching on. I knew what he was catching them on. It was just like, how deep are you running your paddles, and I don't know. I don't know if it's the like I said, the water clarity or the temperature, or that there's just so much more bait now than there used to be. There's something changed, but it's still going to be on 1 rod. I mean, and I think if you walk down Charter Boat Row in the morning when we're all getting ready to go, it's still on almost every boat, a big paddle.
In a little bit, this is somewhat a little off topic, but on the big paddles, a lot of it's like he was saying on certain stuff is water clarity and that. But I know up in northern Michigan, like my dad uses the big paddles for running trout for spinning glows and that. And like I've ran them down here, and you just don't catch the fish on them. And I don't know if it's water clarity or what it is, but so a lot of some of the stuff's port specific too, as far as even on some of the baits.
Yeah,
it's amazing how port specific stuff is.
It is.
Fishing the tournaments up and down the lakeshore, that's the one thing you really learn and figure out. Or I don't know if you learn it, you notice it is. Stuff that worked in Ludington does not work in Michigan City, and vice versa.
We just get to buy more baits that way. Right. I mean, it works out for everyone.
I think the tackle company's behind that.
Yeah. Scott at Captain Chuck says thanks.
It's crazy, but and the funny thing is an alewife in Ludington looks like an alewife in Michigan City, so I don't understand why we have that.
I think it's water clarity though.
Yeah,
because your Grand Haven water is totally and you go to Ludington and look for Grand Haven water, you will not find it.
Yeah,
it does not exist. We don't get green water.
Because we have this beautiful green water, like we call it king green. Like, and if when the green water's here, every one of us will be fishing.
Find it,
if we can find the green water, the fish is going to be good.
And how is the current here? Is it
heavy at times,
but not like Ludington? Like every day it's heavy.
Variable. Like so, Ludington or those places where they have more structure, you guys get different currents. Usually, if we get a current in a direction, it's pretty standard and it's pretty.
Doesn't change.
It's real static, right?
Yeah.
Where you guys get coming off the shelf where you have all these different. We don't have any of that structure.
Yeah, we don't have the structure. I mean, we it's basically a question of whether you're going southwest or northwest until we figure out which direction they want it. And if you watch guys like Willis Carriage of Thunderduck, I mean, he's I think Brian Butts is also very good at reading the current here, and those guys get it figured out. And they'll have 5 fish in the boat before you figure out, hey, Willis, what's your troll? And they'll tell you their troll, and then all of a sudden you turn on that troll and bang, you're getting bit. So I do think that there's a lot of years of knowledge have gone into figuring out the currents here. It's
fish hawks help with that a ton with your probe down there.
Yeah, if
you can have it set correctly and really know how your fish hawk should work, I mean, you can figure out the current and which way you need to be going pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing for for people that don't fish fish as many days as some of the charter boats or don't have the experience. I don't think it's a question of fishing necessarily right on top of the charter boat. It's looking at what direction the charter boats are going, how fast they're moving, and what depth of water they're in, and mimic that. You're probably going to catch fish. And that's the one thing that I think that the better boats here, I think can recreate that situation day in and day out, and
space between
catching some more fish. Yeah,
to anybody though, I mean, that's speed and direction is by far over bait selection, over any of that, speed and direction is by far the most important, and it's how you're presenting the baits. I don't care what Jeremy's catching fish on. I want to know what direction he's going.
I've never fished with someone that caught a lot of fish that didn't drive on good trolls.
Right.
If that makes sense. And by good troll meaning the correct direction with or against or however.
Yeah. And watching your lines. I mean, you want to watch your lines. You want them straight. Basically, like your downrigger cables, your line should be straight with your downrigger cables. I mean, if it's cocked off to the side, I mean, the baits aren't usually running properly how they should be.
You might, one side of your boat might be going.
Yes.
Right. I mean, but if you're running, especially in a smaller boat, if you're only running, 6 or 8 rods, you want 6 or 8 rods to be actually fishing. And so if you can figure out the current and getting everything to pull straight and then speed, you're going to catch more fish for sure.
Yeah. So those are, awesome tips. And there's, we'll make some more videos on this, especially I think if we can get a camera on a boat and in some bad current and explain it, I think it'll make a lot of sense. Yeah. But what other awesome king baits do we have up here?
So I'm a big believer that big kings like green. Big mature fish for whatever reason. I think green rigs of a variety of sorts will definitely catch big kings. And so I picked one meat rig that I typically will run for mature kings. And again, if a Fat Nancy. I have no idea what meat rig this is, except for that it does have pickled Ken teasers, essentially, pickled teasers, like a pickle rig, but it's got a green head in front of it. And I think green meat rigs, especially after the sun comes up, that's a really solid bait. So moving on to a little bit later in the summer, actually I'm going to talk about one spoon. This is a green flounder, and almost all this is the RV green flounder. Almost all the RV tape has been scratched off this bait. But this spoon right here has definitely been really good for us for big mature fish. If we need one, that's a confidence bait for me. And I run a variety of different spoon manufacturers, but that particular moonshine is really good for big kings. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is plugs. When I think of mature kings, I think of plug fishing. I think of that mid to late summer into early fall, and I would be missing something if I didn't bring this plug up in Grand Haven. So historically, this pearl black dot Tomic, the number 3, the little guy, has caught thousands and thousands of fish in Grand Haven. We used to buy these by the dozens on Charter Boat Row. I mean, it would be like, who's ordering the Tomics? And we would just get boxes of these things. And so you'd have, you could basically put this on every rod historically, and it's caught a lot of fish. So, and I think it still has a place. I think these little plugs get, I don't think they get as much use as some of the Ace Highs and bigger plugs nowadays, and the Captain's Choice plugs from Dreamweaver. But I think this little Pearl Black dot Tomic is kind of a stud confidence plug, and would recommend people
That
try to
gets
pick
thrown
that
in
up.
when we're not fishing plugs a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times
That is true.
we will throw that in a lot.
So you would be surprised. Every once in a while, it might be May, but we'll run that thing and you'll catch kings on it. So it doesn't have to be August in order for that to go in the water. This one in just a redhead, just a chrome redhead. Year round, we'll catch steelhead, we'll catch brown trout, we'll catch. I mean, everything that swims out there will eat this thing and a chrome redhead as well.
That one's a 4-inch.
Oh, at number 4.
I don't know. Well, yeah, it's a 4-inch. I don't know what Tomic calls them for size, but
yeah, I thought it was a 3, but yeah,
it's a 4-inch, and then the other ones would be considered a 5-inch.
Yeah, I think these are Ace Highs, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a 5-inch plug. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this Ace High Lucky Charms, this is the chrome variety for me. Obviously, after the sun comes up, and the reason that I didn't get the glow variety is because I grabbed a different glow plug. But this one on a bright sunny day, Lucky Charms plugs definitely caught a lot of big kings for me. And then kind of last but not least, in the fall, first thing in the morning, I've got double glow Ace Highs stacked on both out downs almost always. This plug has caught a lot of fish for me. So I really like that double glow Ace High. Yeah,
the double glow's been a good plug over the years for me too.
Yeah.
Another one when he was talking about the all around plugs, as far as the chrome redhead, is the yellow lightning is a good all around for good kings, and for some reason the steelhead like that, the yellow in that.
The yak,
the double
the yak
glow.
lightning. Is that what you're talking about?
No, same as that double glow, only it's got yellow lightning.
Oh,
it's got the yellow
okay.
lightning stripes on it, and it's a good universal plug.
In the fall, in the mornings, like Jeremy said, I'll do my wire divers a lot in the morning. When we run plugs, I'll put an Ace High on both sides, set the morning, and I mean that's by far my favorite plug.
Yeah.
But that little Atomic too, the Black Pearl is great. Like I said, we run a chart. We joke about it. Everybody has tournament boxes or tournament. We have a charter box on the boat. Kind of your basic. We're going to use these baits all the time, so I don't got to dig with customers. We don't got to dig under seats and that kind of stuff. And those are baits that make the charter box and stay there all summer. So
yeah, we have our hot box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What lives in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff you don't want to dig for. And kind of the same thing. So when we're spoon fishing, I can't say enough about the UV dolphin, the Stinger UV dolphin. I'll stack the 2 different sizes a lot, pretty much year round. But if we're getting them on spoons, on our Grand Haven stack that you're talking about, I mean, this pretty much lives on a rod for me a lot. That or the Hello Darling and Shocker. I mean, those 2 combinations I just love.
Thriller or Shocker?
She runs Thriller and then Hello Darling. Yeah. Sorry. Moonshine spoons too. When we're getting kings on spoons, we're running a good spoon program. The Hulk has been a great one for the last couple of years. This Burnt Toast last year. Did you run this last year?
We did.
Last year for me, I don't know why. Actually, my mate brought it on the boat one day, and he brought one.
Poppers.
He brought one, and I never buy one of anything. Right? He's like, I want to try this. I think it'll catch fish, and yeah, same thing. We would run it on 300 copper, 250 copper, 300 copper. We'd run that, but we took a ton of mature kings on that last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I might be a little different than everybody, but I don't know why, but for me, the one time I run the UV slick with a blue bubble fly we've caught a lot of mature kings on that. That's been really good for us.
So what's interesting to me is that I have days where blue bubble's good, or even the blue spinny with the chrome back. I don't know what you call it. It's not blue bubble because blue bubble's white.
The blue sparkle?
No, it's just the blue. The one side's blue, the other side's chrome. Just the big.
Oh.
I don't know. Just big blue and chrome spin doctor. But when it's cloudy for whatever reason, that's a
hazy,
really
yeah.
hazy or cloudy or
you give
foggy.
me a hazy day with this, and it's great.
Totally agree. And I don't know. You would think that blue would be good on a bright sunny day, but I like it better on a cloudy,
I like it
foggy, hazy
Yep.
day. Even that blue and chrome is really good for me.
And it's funny because you get baits like that in a certain situation are just awesome. I wouldn't run them any other time, but my big one is orange flounder pounder. I won't run that bait. I mean, I got a ton of them. I never run it. We get into a fog bank, it's going down for sure. You can guarantee that. In the fog, I don't know why, that thing just shines for us.
Hog Wild's always been that bait.
Hog Wild's a good one too.
Yeah, if it's foggy, that's going in the water.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that orange
A lot
flounder
of years of that, I've caught a lot of fish on that.
Other than that, I'm just calling Phil to see what he's running. So I think I want that Wonder Bread.
Like I had a couple bites.
Right?
So some of the ones that these were last year's spoons. When we were stacking, we were using the half a meal. It's called. Was good for us. It wasn't an RV series, just a plain. And it's actually a little bit different size spoon that they make. I don't know how many spoons that they have like this, but it's a little bit different cut than their normal ones.
That's the Half Moon series.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then the Blue Jeans RV, and then the Wonder Bread with RV.
What is that?
So it's a little
chewed?
Yeah, it's a little tore out, but
Broken.
Sometimes those are the best.
it seemed like it was better in the RV series as far as having the UV over the glows that we ran last year. As far as they seem more productive than the non
I think
RV
that's
spoons.
I think it's
day in and
important.
day out.
Yeah, I think that the tendency is to overglow the baits, and I think that the RV, tape over the
Tapers that
top
down a little bit.
cuts that down just a
Tones
little
it.
bit, and I think that makes them better. And I think it also makes them more effective all day. They have a little bit of glow in them late in the day, deep in the water column. You don't need like a double glow ace high, intensity of glow down, deep later in the day. I think that the RV tape is a little bit of a game changer in that it just knocks that glow down to the point where I think it's an effective bait all day long.
Yeah, because we turned a lot of ours into that, just as far as getting the cuts and putting them over top. They look a little bit different, but just a clear UV and run them over top. And then as far as the flashers that we'll run usually on the shooter, on the divers is the go-tos are the white with the pearls or with the fish scale. And the other thing that nobody's really talked about on mine, and I haven't measured any of these, so this is just going to be a pure pull it apart and and hope for the best guess. But as far as leader length, a lot of people say like 2.5, 3 times. A lot of people run theirs a little bit longer. In Grand Haven, I don't know exact measurement size, but I don't know what you guys run. I'm gonna say it's gonna be from fingertip to my left shoulders where we run ours at. And so that's pretty much as far as measuring it. Seems like, because I don't know what that is as far as for length, but it seems like a little bit longer. I know some of the boats will run theirs a little longer when they're like Willis will run his a little longer because he trolls a lot faster than the majority to cover more ground. So if he's running this shorter, it's just the flies whipping so much, so he elongates his a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I think if you got mine out and measured them, they're pretty long, but I typically troll pretty fast. I troll like 2.8 to 3.2 almost always, even trout fishing. I'm just ripping.
And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, and especially first of all, Adam puts these things together and they're awesome, and I think it has shortened the learning curve for so many guys because that information's available. But you always hear the same questions from the guys that are newer, that are just getting started. Is hey, well, what leader length do you run? How far do you run off the ball? If you don't put the whole package together, though, it doesn't make sense. So I know that April, for example, is running a lot of Dreamweaver spoons, and she's running longer leads because she runs faster. Or if somebody runs slower, they're shortening stuff up. So all of it plays together, and you really got to get on your own what works for your boat. Your lead. You find a leader length that works for your normal troll, match it. Use that kind of stuff. It's good to have a general rule of thumb. Yeah, that's what we're doing. But if he's trolling 3.3 and he's trolling 2.5, the leader links are totally different. The fly's going to act totally different at that speed. So
yeah, I think that if somebody says they're catching something, if I talk to Jeremy and I don't really even care what you're using for baits.
Right.
I want to know where you are, your troll.
Yep.
I don't care about the speed because I'm going to go my speed. I'm not going to change my speed to try to match somebody else. And then, what depth in the water column are you hitting those
Where are
fish?
you catching those?
Yeah.
Fish?
And if you have one bait that's gone multiple times, what is that bait?
Sure.
That's the information I want to know. But then I'm going to still fish. I'm fishing my boat.
Yeah, you have to fish your program.
Speed and direction, that troll angle, and in the water column of the active fish is really key.
Yeah.
But yeah, not worrying about what's your fly
Yeah.
length.
Well, they don't
it doesn't
realize
matter.
That. They don't realize that. They're like, oh, he said I need to set it at 42 inches, or so. I think you get.
It has to be fluid.
Yeah.
But once it works for you, take note.
Take note. That's what
Repeat.
happened.
Notice the
Repeat.
details.
Repeat.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
I've talked about it before, but I go as far as to write the length of the leader on the actual flasher in a Sharpie and take a picture of it, and then I know so I can recreate it quickly.
Yeah. If you ever have a yard sale, I'm going to say I'm buying everything. Everything.
The other
we
is
do.
the other is like it's been brought up, the direction, speed, and that. But the speed that's, in my opinion, the speed that's important is your speed over ground. So the fish hawk, somebody can be running 2.5 on it, somebody else is running 3 on it, somebody else is running 2.8. The fish hawk is there to provide you a tool for where you're getting bit at, but they're not, depending on how you have it calibrated compared to how the next person has theirs calibrated, it's coming off a wheel that's on your boat. And then for your surface speed, and then the transmission up to a transducer. So it's not coming out of a satellite out of the sky. So your speed, everybody's going to ask your 2 biggest questions, in my opinion: speed over ground, troll direction.
But with that being said, I entirely agree. But troll direction first, because if you're going the opposite direction, your speed over ground is going to be different.
Right, right.
So people, the
But
key
no, I'm
is
saying
what
those,
troll are.
those two together.
Yep.
Yeah. Because if somebody asks, oh, what's your speed? And they're like, well, I've been trolling like 2.2, 2.3, and they're giving you that off their speed at the ball on their fish hawk, it's pretty much not pertinent information, because the other, if they say I'm going 2.3 speed over ground, like it's coming off the same satellite that the speed over ground on your graph is coming from. So if you can mimic that and the troll direction, your best case scenario to at least get
right
start
on.
with
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah, and that's not a knock on this. Having that speed at the ball is huge, but it's a static number, right? Mine's different than yours, so it's not a knock on Fishhawk at all. They're giving you a static number.
Oh no,
So-
Trevor will tell you
Yep,
the
Trevor
same
will tell you
thing.
the same
Like that's
thing,
what it's a tool.
Your difference, your speed over ground versus your ball, what your ball speed is, that matters to your boat. But again, mine's not going to me and Phil can be side by side, and it's not going to be the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
because if you let it and you don't calibrate it, and then somebody else is calibrating it like daily or adjusting theirs all the time. I mean, you can have yours going whatever it is and then calibrate it, and then it's like, well, I was just catching fish at say 3 miles an hour at the ball, and now I'm going 2.2 at the ball because I just calibrated. I didn't change anything, didn't change the speed or whatever, but it's changing that because of what you did with the instrument you're using in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is a ton of great information, and I think the speed direction could definitely have. I mean, I'd love to have that conversation with you guys and really hear your thoughts here. I mean, it seems like it's a little bit. I mean, the importance is the same everywhere, but definitely seems to be a little bit different each port that I travel to. So, but these are some awesome baits. So if you're looking for some of these great baits, Captain Chuck's 2 online. You can check them out at Captain-Chuck's. And I'll put that on the screen for you. And also a big shout out to Goose Island Lemon Shandy. Absolutely a fantastic, refreshing, preparing for summer drink. But I hope you had some great information here. I hope you picked up on some new things. And I hope you can get out there and catch some more fish.